There's a trending topic in the world, well, at least in the U.S. Hashtag Stop Asian Hate. Hashtag Stop Asian Hate, guys. Now, we all know about this. We know about this guy here. This is the killer. The killer who mauled down, who shot up 3 spies in Atlanta. We now know more information about this guy, this horrible individual. Ronald, shit. I tried to delete his name from my brain, right? We don't need his name, do we? We don't need his name. Okay, so this is the guy who shot everybody. This is the guy who went to the spies and shot up the spies, and that's the thing. So, like, this has only added to what was already being discussed in America, which is the number of hate crimes impacting Asians, Asian Americans, okay? Let's go back here. Here's what we learned since last time we talked. The degenerate, I call him a degenerate, not because he went to massage spas, which is something, he was a customer at a number of these locations that he went to and decided to kill people. He's a degenerate because he killed people for working at places he went to. Atlanta spa shooting suspect frequented spas. Victims range from mom of 2 to an Army veteran. Details begin to emerge about the victims of the shootings, who they were and the lives that they led. Cherokee authorities have released the names of 4 people killed and 1 injured there, while Atlanta police have yet to identify the 4 victims there. The spas where the shootings happened were not on Atlanta police radar. According to Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, there were red flags that the businesses provided illicit services. Cherokee County Sheriff Frank Reynolds said Long may have frequented some of the spas where the shootings happened. Cherokee County Sheriff's Captain Jay Baker said Long told police that he was attempting to take off that temptation tied to a potential sex addiction that he had. So our shooter had a sexual addiction. He had a strong attraction, a pulling, an obsession with sex. He decided the best way to resolve that is not to kill himself, but to kill others. I told you, this is not going to be PG. This is not going to be politically correct. That's right, guys. Let's cut to the chase. If this weirdo decided, hey, I like women too much, and I'm tired of women letting me have them because they're financially strapped and they're forced to do sex jobs because they need the money to try to take care of their families. And since I can pay for this sex, that's too much for me to deal with. That's too much temptation. Let me go to the spa and kill some moms and some daughters and some sisters and some friends and some wives, instead of just doing the obvious. Seeking help. He could have sought help, but if you're too reluctant to seek help, there's other options, right? Here goes our first clip on this subject. Let's check this out.
Listen to the something else this sheriff said today. I'll get your take on it. Go ahead.
He understood the gravity of it, and he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope. And yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
Now, everybody's jumping all over this because it's obviously insensitive. But to the community behind you and what you've heard, Amara, how does this play?
He was just having a bad day. I think a lot of Asian Americans hear that and they're hurt by it. It sounds like this authority, I believe that was a Cherokee County Sheriff's Department, downplaying what happened. I mean, 8 people killed in 3 spas across Atlanta. 6 of the 8 were Asians. We understand 6 of them, all 6 of them were Asian women. And so when you downplay it to he was just having a bad day, again, we're going into the realm of dehumanizing these victims.
Yeah, mitigating the significance. Would he have said the same thing if they were all white? If the guy had said he had targeted white victims, would have elicited the same thing? There seems to be a nonchalance here about him, or he's just not a good public speaker.
Yeah, you heard Chris Cuomo stepping out on the ledge there to speak truth to power. Yeah, maybe the sheriff's not a bad guy. Maybe he's just not a good public speaker. That's all. What the hell has that got to do with public speaking? He said the shooter had a bad day. Hey, Chris, I could name at least 8 people who had a worse day than the fucking shooter. Want to take a shot at it? Dumbass. Chris has paid a lot of money not to care about anything. This is why I said these people, cable news people, they're not real people. Not real at all. Fake, 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 phony. 7 women and one man were killed in a string of attacks, the majority of whom were of Asian descent. Those killed in the Atlanta shootings have not been identified, but police said all 4 were Asian women. Here goes the part. Here goes the thing. One of my callers a couple days ago, on Tuesday, he said, Tim, I think this has something to do with sexual Christian fundamentalists or what have you. And it looks like he may be right, that this may have something to do with it. But it also may be true that there can be more than one thing going on at one time. This guy could be a Looney Tunes Christian fundamentalist and also a racist. You can do both. There's a lot of Christian fundamentalists, whack jobs, who are racist against black people. That could be possible. So now, I just want to, let's go to the second video about this. Let's go to the second video.
In the Georgia shootings were Asian women, and it all comes at a time of increased attacks on Asians and Asian Americans. As Blaine mentioned, most of those killings in the Georgia shootings were Asian women, and it all comes at a time of increased attacks on Asians and Asian Americans across the U.S. Just yesterday, the group Stop AAPI Hate released new data saying it recorded nearly 3,800 anti-Asian hate incidents between March of last year and February of this year. I want to bring in Kimmy Yam, who reports for NBC Asian America. Kimmy, thanks for joining us. You've studied this report, which logged a much higher number of incidents than we knew of the year before. So what is the group saying about the nature of these attacks?
Yeah, so, you know, the report came out yesterday. It logged about 3,800 incidents, and these range kind of between, you know, more microaggressions to also verbal attacks and, you know, also physical attacks. This was over a span of roughly 12 months in the pandemic. And compared to the report that came out last year, it's about 1,000 incidents up from what we were seeing. The report last year kind of spanned over the course of 5 months in the pandemic. The group, however, does caution against saying that what we're seeing is a surge or using any sort of time analysis when we're talking about this, because we know that there is a clear issue with underreporting in the community. I know that, you know, there are oftentimes language barriers to reporting these sorts of incidents. There's also mistrust of law enforcement or other types of, you know, these reporting forms, and also just, you know, an overall lack of awareness sometimes from people in the community that these resources exist. But truly, this is something that, you know, while we can't say there's necessarily a surge, experts do mention that it's clear that none of the discrimination and racism that Asian Americans have been facing throughout this pandemic has really abated.
Okay, so before we go any further, we want to give our condolences once again to the victims of the shootings that took place in Atlanta. I'd also like to reiterate that some of the shootings, some of the victims were not Asian. Not everyone was Asian, but 6 of the members were. Okay, and 6 of them were also women. My condolences to the families and speedy recovery to those who were wounded but not killed, because there are others who are in the hospital recovering from their gunshot wounds. Now, let's talk about it, guys. Asian hate crime is up. Asian hate crime is up during the midst of a pandemic where there has been a lot of rhetoric about Kung Flu, a lot of rhetoric about a lot of blame being pushed on Asian Americans. Said, and this spawned on by comments made in jest or comments made seriously by Donald Trump. I always felt it was like Donald Trump trying to play to his base and talking on the stump, being an asshole. I'm on the record saying that. But I'm also on the record saying just as well, the media repeated those horrible words over and over and over and over and over again. And I think we got to admit, as people who have open minds and freaking brains, that this is some foul shit, okay? And what's continuing to happen, is people run into silos like their own little groups. And I'm seeing way too many people say that this is not a real thing. Folks, all you got to do is look at the numbers. It's a real thing. Go look at the statistics. I have a graph. Where's the graph at? This is the graph, guys. Now, you don't have to like numbers. You could say, I don't trust numbers. Where do numbers come from? Who's the number people? I can't go around trusting numbers. Here goes one of the graphs I want to show you. Here we go. Get that on screen. You see that? See the spike? Swifty? See that spike? That's the numbers going up. Now, if it just went up a little, a small amount, like up to here or so, to the first line or the second line, maybe you'd have something to stand on. Maybe then, I could say, okay, you got a point. Maybe it's been over dramatized. Dramatized, yeah. Over dramatization. Maybe people are exaggerating. Maybe people are looking to make some type of an agenda. But when you have numbers like that, it's like a rocket launch numbers. You don't get to say, oh man, I hate the media. The media is trying to play games. It's trying to cancel white people. It's trying to cancel black people. No. The numbers are what they are. We've never had a pandemic before. In my lifetime, not in your lifetime. Not in anyone, I don't think anyone who's living. I think there was one person who was still alive from the last pandemic. Be that as it may. I don't know anyone who was alive during the last pandemic that's still here. And since that's the case, and we have groups of people that are being blamed for it, it only bears the reason logically that there will be morons who target those people even more than usual. Once again, that doesn't mean black racism doesn't exist. It definitely does, Johnson. I talk about that all the time on the channel. It doesn't mean there isn't violence against gay folks, trans folks. It does. No, it doesn't. No, that exists too. We talk about that. We talk about all forms of bullshit that happens in this country. We don't cover everything because we can't. But what we should not do, guys, is downplay another group's pain and suffering and drama that's going on, that's happening to them. And only reason really you got for it is that happening to you. This is not a good precedence. I'm not saying everyone has to be an angel and all of us are angels. What I'm saying is, don't be an asshole. It's a decision to be an asshole or not to be one. These are choices. Okay? So, here's the other thing. Okay? We got one more image. I want to try to tell a story with pictures if I can, a little bit. Here goes one. Asian Americans being attacked. Why are hate crime charges so rare? Well, once again, this is not rocket science. As the lady pointed out, a lot of times people don't report hate crimes. That's across the board, Johnson. No matter who's the victim, no matter who's being targeted, it's very likely, lots of times, most of the time, people want to go on with their lives. They don't want to get bogged down in court. Maybe they feel they don't have the evidence. Maybe they don't know who to talk to. Blah, blah. There's a lot of reasons. And then there are some jurisdictions, some states that are not required to even collect data for hate crimes. This is not just for black people who experience hate crimes, or white people, or Latino people, or Native American people, or gay or trans or lesbian people. It's just any people. There are certain states where they're not required to maintain records or categorize. One assault is the same as any other assault. A robbery is the same as any other robbery in those states. So, putting all that together, guys, what I'm saying is, this is a real thing. It's happening. We have morons in America who will attack each other over the lamest shit, and you know they are. You know they do. We have Karens that lose their collective minds over black people walking dogs, or black people walking down the street, or black kids selling water. How do you think those same people would act if they thought that black person may have brought a pandemic to America? Because they listened to their president, or they listen to Rush Limbaugh, or Sean Hannity, or Dan Bonadingo, or Banjadino, or Baduka Buka, whatever his name is. Meathead, whatever his name is. I don't give a shit. It doesn't take much to set off morons. That's all I'm trying to say. What we should do is support one another as best we can. Don't let ourselves be riled up and forced to go into separate corners when we know it's wrong. We know what's happening is wrong. We don't agree with it. Stand up for the person next to you. Stand up for people you don't know. Stand up for people you may never meet. And just be a better human being about this shit. I don't tolerate racism. I don't tolerate hate crimes, regardless of who's doing it. Period. I can't save the world, but I can save my own soul, I think, by being a better person. I encourage you all to do so. May any person committing a hate crime or any of that shit be caught and punished. To the fullest extent of the goddamn law. This is what I want when the victim is black or Asian.
Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Don't be fooled by corporate media talking heads misleading the people. Get your news and information from an entity that keeps it real. Tim Black. Tim Black is the host of The Tim Black Show. Independent news that leaves you informed, inspired, and sometimes entertained, but always in the know. Go to timblacktv.com and sign up today. The Tim Black Show is news for people who can't stand the news. See you there.